Microsoft Paint, the one program that universally raised a whole generation of artists, including me. So today we're turning back the clock to the early 2010s to redraw this cute little bear girl and talk about how things have changed since I've made this drawing. I think it's pretty fun. Even though I haven't used MS Paint for a long time, I can still jump right back into it like nothing happened. It's kind of like meeting with an old friend you haven't seen for a while. You just continue where you left off. I mean, all the little tips and tricks, and even though MS Paint actually doesn't have any layers, there are a lot of ways you can get around it. But this isn't a tutorial. You can look them up, I guess, if you really want to know. But fun fact, just a little bit of PJ Scribble's lore for you. I wanted to do YouTube for such a long time. There's actually an old drawing of my first persona with the YouTube logo, and I was a Fox anime girl, but hey, I did that before it was cool, okay? I was setting trends at the ripe age of 9? 10? 11? I don't really remember when this was made. Good enough. It was a while ago. I actually didn't draw as much back then as I do now, which is why I don't really have a lot of images to go back and redraw, which is, it kind of makes me sad. I wish I had a lot more, and I think if people really enjoyed this video, I might do some of the other old ones that I have and just kind of talk about the redesigning process and how I go through with things differently, or how I approach things very differently. But I'd like to think my file naming skills are improved. Gone are the days of untitled 143.png. That's what I named all of my files because I was very creative. A small thing I noticed with something I kind of noticed looking back on all these files is that the images are a lot smaller and they're starting to show their age. Back then, videos were only like 720p. Y'all are so lucky with this high definition, see the grain of sand on my face, 4K level of detail. Like, YouTube icons were also square, and there was no dark mode to watch videos in. See, my generation grew up burning our eyes on bright screens. God, this makes me sound older. I'm not. Leave me alone, okay? I just saw a lot of changes to social media and all the different platforms today, and I think that really influenced my art at the time as well. I mean, I wanted to be a YouTuber because it was fun. And I guess that's exactly what happened in a lot of ways. Looking back, there's just so many dreams that I had when I was younger that started right here. Now something that used to be a silly little hobby that I did when I was bored turned into an actual career path. You know, and for a long time I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I wanted to be something along the lines of an archaeologist before I realized I wouldn't just be looking for dinosaur bones all the time. Blech. 11-year-old me said no to that. I also wanted to be a marine biologist before realizing that I'm deeply afraid of being in the depths of the ocean. Fun to see from afar, not so fun when I'm the person in the water, so that also didn't happen. But for a long time, art was just something I did because it came to me easier than other things. It was like breathing. You just kind of got into it, and I would just sit down and draw whatever was on my mind, and I do that now, clearly. If you've seen any of my content before, yeah, it's definitely whatever randomness that came to mind. I'm looking at all of the many examples, like Shark Duck, and you know, actually, now that I think about it, my love for sea creatures never really went away. I just make monstrosities with them now. Dinosaurs, too. Some things really don't change. They just switch forms. But nowadays, when I sit down and instead of just drawing because I wanted to draw at the end of the day, like, I don't know, I came back, I did my homework, I was just bored, I'd open up Microsoft Paint, I now open up my drawing program and I ask myself, you know, how the anatomy looks, the shading, how I could possibly push myself further than I did last time. And it brought me very far. I've turned my art into keychains. I design things for projects. I help other people with their projects. I make tutorials for artists. And it's amazing and awesome, and I couldn't imagine telling the version of myself who made this illustration all these different things that I've done today. But as I'm writing this script and looking at the illustration in front of me, I can't bring myself to make fun of the quality of the art itself. Like, yes, there's weird things here and there. You can tell a child drew it because a child did draw it. But I wouldn't be here had I not kept going in and drawing something because I wanted to. And I think that's something that I tend to forget now. You know, I do this professionally. I make art, and I do it because now it's a source of income. And my mentality around it has changed a lot, but I think doing this, like this project in particular, this video, this, you know, talking and rambling for 10 minutes, I hope that's the length of this video. That would be really awkward if it wasn't. It means I'm wrong. And I'm not about that. No, I'm kidding. It's really interesting in that because I wanted to go in with the mentality of, yes, I'm gonna make this better, but I really don't want to mess with the overall image. I want to keep the same colors. I want to keep the same general idea. So that way the only difference that you can see is the methods of shading and compositions and, you know, all the skills that I've built up today. And I'm sure at some point I might come back to this and redraw it again, probably making some other comments about like the face or the shading, or maybe I'll leave it alone. Maybe I'll be kind to past me with future me. That would be great, because I think it's great to poke fun and laugh at other versions of yourself, because man, 10-year-olds are crazy little punks sometimes. But I'm also aware now that there's another generation of artists who are following behind me, and they're learning how to draw in an era where there's so much push to improve, to be the best of the best all the time. And ultimately, I think it's missing the point of why we draw in the first place. And if I took that mentality and pushed it onto this video, I think I would also be missing the point of this video. I think the push to be better is good. It's great. It takes us very far in life. But I think the moment that it consumes you and you're just staring at a blank page, waiting for something to be put down because you're just so afraid of making a mistake, of being a bad artist, that I think that's worse than any terrible stick figure you could ever put down. It's just leaving the blank page to be a blank page. And if you're one of those people watching this video, maybe because you're trying to find inspiration or a push to know that you're gonna get better in the future, because I think that's why we like watching redraw things, especially when we're beginner artists, because we want to believe that we're gonna make it to this future point in time where we're just these great, amazing artists. And I think that's a good goal to have. It's gonna teach you to pick up your skills and to find out the points where you're weaker in your art. But I think because we spend so much time waiting for this future point, we don't feel like we're good enough ever. You know, you might not feel good enough until you've made it into a career, or you start teaching others, or you do any of the other things that maybe you see from my page and my story, or anyone else's artistic story. And if you're one of those people, right? If you're waiting for some sort of motivation or some inspiration to strike you right now, my message to, you know, myself in this piece I'm redrawing, to you, you're right where you need to be right now. Redraws are made to respect the past and give it the credit it deserves for bringing you to the things in the future. And I just enjoy it, please. Enjoy having fun with art, and let yourself make bad art, for God's sake. Like, we spend so much time critiquing ourselves that we never give any credit to just making art in the first place, just trying. And I mean, it's great, but it's also, I think it's just our downfall at the same time, and it drives me nuts because when I started, I had resources for art, and obviously as I became more a part of the art community, I did a lot of research, and I still do a lot of research. But when I started, I just did it. I mean, any resources I found were just like simple things, like how to sketch in Microsoft Paint and then like do line art and stuff afterwards. There wasn't like, I need to draw every single day. I need to build a schedule for myself. I need to do all these different things in order to be the best artist I can be. Because I think those tips, which I'm sure you'll come across, I don't think any of them are technically bad, but I also know that not everything's gonna work for everyone. And if it's killing you, if you're just overwhelmed by all of this, these tips and tricks and all these different ways to be a better artist, just be an artist, okay? If you need to sit down with like a piece of just crappy printer paper or some random notebook that you've had lay around, like that art that you're gonna make there is gonna bring you so much further, but you're not gonna get anywhere if you don't even try with it. And God, I hope that was more motivational and not just me ranting for a long time. It's the end of the video. Hi, it's the finished piece. I hope you enjoyed this, and I look forward to seeing you next time for my art TED Talk. Or whatever comes up next. I'm sure it's gonna be some sort of crazy nonsense, but I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye! Bye!